skeptical rhetoric that she spreads around is extremely damaging. And it has a lot of bearing on people's lives that people, though, that Amanda Marcotte clearly doesn't really give a shit about. Let me skip to the end of her entry for a second, where she says that she'd like to see a world where everybody's considered, to be selling a little bit, but no one is cast as a buyer. Well, that's funny because, all of those sex workers that she silenced in the first paragraph, that she erased, that she denied even exist, that's what we say. That's basically what we say. We say, you're out here spreading this myth that the buyers have all the power and they can do whatever the fuck they want to. And that's not true, But the more you say it, the more people that are clueless believe it. It's a damaging myth that she spreads, that these fuckers spread all the time. And we try to correct them and say, there's nobody buying. They have to sell themselves to us too. Nobody should be cast as a buyer. Well, Amanda, if that's what you want, stop casting people as the buyer. You wrote an entire fucking blog post here telling people that men are the buyer. You're the one doing the casting. And then she says, this part cracks me up. She says, people shouldn't feel entitled to have the time or affection of others, but instead should assume the responsibility of being charming enough to have people give it to them of their own free will. Yeah, she thinks the world would be better if men would learn to just charm the pants off women. Uh-huh, sure. What really kicked this over the top for me was this comment that she left in her comment section, where she was having a back and forth with this person, B405. And then she says in comment number 191, basically, B4, by relying on prostitutes, you are turning yourself into a worse and worse person. For your own sake, you should want to not suck so much and get women to want you for yourself. It's so fucked up that she said this. Just a couple of months before, in March, she wrote a piece for Slate. She writes nice stuff for Slate and for all the more mainstream places, but when she's on her own site, whoo, she lets her hate flag fly. But on Slate, she says, hey, the world, she needs to realize that nothing bad's going to happen if we decide to stop, ostracizing sex workers. And I wonder, is this her idea of not ostracizing sex workers? By telling us that we turn people into worse and worse people? Out-fucking-rageous is what this is. This is out-fucking-rageous. So in her first paragraph, she's saying that the men they're always the buyers and the women are always the sellers, and the sellers never have any power and the buyers have all the power. And, this stuff, she thinks that it underpins a lot of rape culture and creepy demands. Yes, demands from so-called nice guys. Because it has the side consequence of convincing the public that men are entitled to partner sex. Okay, what? Ugh. How does it do that? Well, she says, because in our economic system, as long as you have the money, it's unheard of to turn you away as a customer. Often because of non-discrimination laws. Okay. She paints she cherry picks from the world, from our reality. She cherry picks stuff to support her assertion. Like, she talks about dating advice, and she says, well, women, we're told to look at, our price and lower it or improve the product. And men, they're never told to improve themselves. No, it's just all pickup artist stuff. That's all the dating advice that there is for men out there. That's bullshit. That's a false representation of reality. And she says, so much of the strife out there comes from when feminists challenge this model of heterosexuality. Yeah, this false reality-based model of heterosexuality that you then refuse to listen to anybody talking about it in ways that you don't approve of. Yeah, that causes strife. Like Elevator Gate caused strife. Uh-huh. And then right into it again. Of course, the reason that threads about men who buy sex blow up to epic proportions is that there's always a handful of guys pushing the sad, unfuckable John myth. When in reality, most Johns have wives or girlfriends, don't actually enjoy the paid-for sex in and of itself, and are mainly just shoring up their masculine bona fides by proving they can buy and control women. Sure, and she gives a link there to a bit of research, which later in the comment sections, she says to someone, I guess, questioned her on it, she says, oh, it's the best stuff out there, the only stuff that hasn't been tainted with the prohibitionist agenda. But it's the same shit. I checked it. It's a link to a PDF. Well, it's a link to a link of a PDF, and I went all the way to the PDF, and I read through it, and I checked the citations and the footnotes and shit. It's the same people. It's Jeffries and Hughes and Farley and a couple others. Ekberg, Gunilla Ekberg. You know, it's the same bullshit research that's out there from the prohibitionist agenda people. Marcotte either didn't read it, didn't bother to read it, and she's got a little too much trust, or she's just not to be trusted herself. Either one. I don't know. It's got to be one or the other. Next, she says that, hey, you know that enthusiastic consent stuff you've heard so much about? That stuff that's supposedly sex positive and that's sex worker inclusive, etc., etc.? Yeah, she thinks that something that could strengthen that enthusiastic consent stuff is if they tackle the market model of heterosexuality, because if she puts on her twisty, faster bigot hat, if we cast men as buyers and women as sellers, that means that women are assumed to be in a perpetual state of consent. Just like the gallon of milk at the store, blah, blah, blah. Don't buy the cow and you can get the milk for $5, I guess. I mean, I don't know what she means by she puts on her Twisty Faster hat. Twisty Faster has never said, hey, we should stop casting men as buyers. Twisty Faster constantly casts men as buyers. That's what she does. I mean, you're going to have to get a different hat. I mean, it's like, it's this fucked up twisting of things where she's going to twist what things actually mean. I don't know, like this sentence, as long as the market model of heterosexuality is in play, the notion that sex should be a mutual exchange between two individuals will not make so much sense to people. Where she uses the phrase market model and then mutual exchange. It's another one of those things where the